before the borders, before the maps, before the flags, before the world sliced Africa into 54 pieces and called them countries. There was something older, something deeper, something sacred. In the age before colonization, Africa was not a puzzle of artificial lines. It was a breathing tapestry, woven by kingdoms, shaped by empires, carried by clans, and guarded by the spirits of the land. Mountains had names whispered by thunder. Rivers bore titles given by the gods. And every piece of soil knew the footsteps of an ancient people. A world where every region wore a different identity, one crafted by its people, its culture, and its destiny. This is the story of what African countries were truly called before colonization. Let the winds of the Sahara guide you. Let the drums of the ancestors awaken you. Let the spirit of Africa rise before your eyes. Because the names you know today are only shadows of the names that once were. To understand Africa before colonization, one must first understand this. Countries did not exist. Not in the way the world recognizes them today. Instead, there were empires, kingdoms, confederations, city-states, clan territories, nomadic nations, spiritual domains. Borders were shaped not by rulers in distant lands, but by rivers, mountains, deserts, and trade routes. People identified themselves not by Nigeria, Kenya, or Ghana, but by ancient nations like the Oyo, the Nubians, the Mandinka, the Zulu, the Hausa, the Berbers, the Swahili, the Amhara, the Oromo, and countless others. The names of Africa were living things, fluid, dynamic, evolving like the very heartbeat of the continent. What you know now as countries were once worlds of their own. Egypt before colonization, known as Kemet, the Black Land. Long before the world said Egypt, the people called their land Kemet, meaning the Black Land, named for the fertile dark soil along the Nile. Egyptians also called their country Tameri, the beloved land. Twy, the two lands. Kmt, written in sacred hieroglyphs. This land was not merely a country. It was a spiritual axis where gods walked among mortals. The Greeks later renamed it Aegyptos. The Arabs called it Missa. But its truest ancient name remains Kemet, the kingdom built by the ancestors of Africa. Sudan before colonization was Nubia, Kush, Meroe. Beyond Egypt, the Nile stretches into a land older than many remember. Sudan was not Sudan. It was Nubia, land of gold. Kush, empire of warriors. Meroe, the city of iron. Here ruled the Candaces, the queen mothers whose armies defeated Rome. Here rose black pharaohs who wore crowns of lions, Meneh and copper. Sudan's ancient names carried the roar of empires. Ethiopia before colonization was Abyssinia and the land of Prester John. Ethiopia, older than most of the world's nations, was once known as Abyssinia, Habasha, the kingdom of Axum. In ancient tales, Ethiopia was the land where angels rested, where the Queen of Sheba rose in glory, and where the Ark of the Covenant found a new home. Colonization never fully took Ethiopia. Its ancient name echoes still. Libya before colonization was Tiehinu, Lebu, Tamazgha. Before the world called it Libya. Its indigenous Amazi, Berber, people called the region Tiehinu, Tiemihu, Lebu land. Tamazgha, land of the Amazi nations. This land held desert kingdoms long forgotten. Kingdoms that traded with Egypt before the pyramids were even complete. Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, was Numidia, Carthage, Mauritania. The Maghreb was once a stage of legendary kingdoms. Numidia, land of horsemen. Carthage, city of Hannibal. Mauritania, the kingdom of the Moors. Ifriqiya, name later applied to a wider region. These were lands where desert warriors rode like wind, and cities shone like jewels on the edge of the Sahara. In West Africa, the names you know today are young. The real names belong to empires that shook the world. Wagadu, the Ghana Empire. Before the modern country of Ghana existed, there was a mighty kingdom called Wagadu, the Empire of Ghana, the land of gold. The word Ghana originally meant warrior king, and referred not to a country, but to the title of an emperor. The empire extended far beyond modern Ghana, into Mali, Mauritania, and Senegal. The modern nation only adopted the name in 1957. To honor this ancient legacy, Nigeria, a land of many nations. The name Nigeria is barely over a century old. Before colonization, The region was a mosaic of civilizations. Yoruba lands, Oyo Empire, Ife Kingdom, Ijebu Kingdom, Benin region, the Benin Kingdom, Empire of Obas, Bronzes, and Mystics. Northern region, Hausa city-states, Kano, Katsina, Zoria. Kanem-Bornu Empire, one of Africa's longest-lasting kingdoms. Middle belt, Tiv, Nupe, Jukuan, Idoma, Igala, each with their own domains. Igbo region, Nrai Kingdom, land of priests, peace, and sacred traditions. Aro Confederacy, feared and respected traders. Nigeria, as a single name and country, did not exist. It was a cluster of powerful nations whose identities were older than time. Mali, Mande, the Mali Empire, the land of Sanjata. Before colonization, the region was known as the Manden Karufaba, Union of Mande States. The Mali Empire. The land of Sanjata Keita. This was the empire of Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. A kingdom where gold flowed like river sand. Senegal and the Gambia, Tekru, Jollof, Saloum. Before colonization, these lands were known as Tekru, the Jollof Empire, Sine and Saloum kingdoms, the Mandinka states. These were the ancestral homelands of traders, scholars, fishermen, and the creators of the name Jollof, which today travels the world in culinary battles. Burkina Faso, Musi kingdoms. Long before Burkina Faso, the land was home to the Mossi kingdoms, including Yatenga, Ouagadougou, and Tenkadogo. These were warrior states that resisted conquest for centuries, fierce as the Sahel winds. Côte d'Ivoire, the Akan states, Kayou Coast, Kong Empire. Before colonization, this land carried many identities. Akan states, Baol, Ani, Agni. The Kong Empire. The Kru Coast. Each people guarded its own traditions, its own kings, its own stories. Sierra Leone and Liberia, Manding, KWA, Gola territories. The lands we now call Sierra Leone and Liberia were once home to the Mande states, the Vai Nation, the Gola territories, the Kru confederacies. Their cultures shaped the rhythms of West Africa long before colonial settlements appeared. Central Africa was a universe of its own. Kingdoms hidden beneath forest shadows, rich with iron, ivory, and ancient wisdom. DR Congo, Congo, Luba, Lunda. Before colonization gave it the name Congo, the region was defined by the Congo Kingdom, the Luba Empire, the Lunda Empire. These were powerful states whose influence spread across modern borders, into Angola, Zambia, and beyond. The Congo Kingdom even had its own diplomatic relations with Europe, as early as the 1500s. Angola, Ndongo, Matamba, Congo. Angola was not Angola. It was Ndongo, land of the Mbundu people. Matamba, the kingdom of Queen Zinga, part of the Greater Congo world. Mazinga, the queen warrior who defied the Portuguese for decades, ruled these lands with strategy and fire. Cameroon, Bafut, Barman, Sao civilization. Before colonization, this region was defined by the Barman Kingdom, the Bafut Confederacy, the Sao civilization near Lake Chad. These were lands of artists, bronze casters, and warrior kings. Gabon, origin of the Fang and Maine kingdoms. Gabon was home to Fang clans, Maine states, Kota and Obamba territories. These people carried masks and spiritual traditions that speak to the world even today. Central African Republic and Chad, Bagirmaib, Sao, Kanem-Bornu. Before colonization, Chad belonged partly to the Sao civilization and the Kanem-Bornu Empire, which stretched into Nigeria and Cameroon. Ka hosted various Ubangi and Banda states. In the east, Africa held some of the continent's oldest civilizations. Kenya, Swahili city-states, Maasai, Kamba, Kikuyu lands. Before colonization, the region was defined by Swahili city-states, Mombasa, Malindi, Lamu. Maasai territories, Kikuyu lands, Kamba kingdoms. Coastal Kenya was part of an Indian Ocean trading world that stretched to Arabia, India, and China. Tanzania, Zanzibar Sultanate, Swahili Coast, Great Lakes kingdoms. Before colonization, the coast was ruled by the Sultanate of Zanzibar. The interior by Nyamwezi, Hihi, Makand, and Chaga kingdoms. The north connected to Buganda and Karagwe. Uganda, Buganda, Bunyoro, Toro, Ankole. Uganda was not a country. It was a cluster of monarchies. Buganda Kingdom, Bunyoro Kitara, Toro Kingdom, Ankole Kingdom, each with kings, drums of power, and sacred symbols of authority. Rwanda and Burundi, the land of the Mwami. These nations grew from Rwanda Kingdom, Burundi Kingdom, both ruled by divine kings known as Mwami, believed to be chosen by heaven itself. Somalia, Punt, Ajuran, Adel, Jaladai. Before colonization, Somalia was the land of the Kingdom of Punt, older than 3,000 years. The Ajuran Sultanate, the Adel Sultanate, the Jeledi Kingdom. This was a world of traders, sailors, and camel kingdoms. Zimbabwe, Great Zimbabwe, Mutapa Empire. Before colonization, Great Zimbabwe, the Stone City, the Mutapa Empire, the Rosvi Kingdom. Great Zimbabwe was one of the most advanced cities in medieval Africa, with stone structures built without mortar, standing strong for centuries. South Africa, Zulu Kingdom, Xhosa chiefdoms, Sotho kingdoms. Before South Africa, there were the Zulu Kingdom, the Xhosa chiefdoms, the Sotho-Tswana kingdoms, the San territories, the oldest people on earth. Botswana, the Batswana chiefdoms. The region was once Batswana chiefdoms, Kalanga states, San ancestral lands. Namibia, Hera, Ovahimba, San, Damara territories. Long before Namibia, Hera states, Nama peoples kingdoms, San hunter-gatherer territories, Damara clans. Mozambique, Gaza Empire, Swahili coast. Before colonization, the Gaza Empire. Bits of the Swahili trading world. Shona kingdoms influencing the north. Do you hear it? The wind speaks. The rivers remember. The mountains carry the echoes of nations long erased from maps. Africa's countries are young, but Africa's civilizations are ancient. Every name you know today was carved by colonizers less than 150 years ago. But the true names, the sacred names, are carved into the soul of the continent. We have begun the journey. But this is only part 1. Part 2 will reveal the pre-colonial names of all remaining African countries, the origins and meanings behind each ancient name, a deeper exploration of empires erased by history. Prepare yourself, because the ancestors are not finished speaking. If this journey moved your spirit, if it awakened something ancient within you, then let your voice be part of the legacy. Like the video, share it, and speak in the comments. I honor the names of my ancestors. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss any point where the forgotten names of Africa rise again. Until then, may the ancestors guide your path. May the spirit of Africa walk beside you. And may the winds of history whisper truth into your soul. Africa does not forget. Even when borders shift. Even when old names are buried beneath new ones. Even when the world insists on rewriting its story. The land remembers. The spirits remember. The people remember. Again, the ancestors open the final door. And the forgotten world of Africa rises once more. Now Ilu are about to witness the true names of the remaining African countries. Before colonization rewrote the soul of the continent. The Horn of Africa is one of the oldest inhabited regions on Earth. A cradle of civilization, a mother of kingdoms, and a keeper of some of humanity's earliest names. Eritrea, land of the Medri Bori and Aksumite worlds. Before colonization, the land known today as Eritrea was not a single country. It was shaped by shifting kingdoms and powerful highland nations. Its ancient names included Medri Bori, land of the sea, the Aksumite territories, the kingdom of DMT. Medri Bori was a powerful Christian kingdom. Its castle standing tall on mountain peaks, protected by warriors who defended the Red Sea coast from invaders. Its identity was fluid, absorbing cultures from the Nile, the highlands, and the Arabian Sea. Eritrea's story is one of resilience, carved into stone churches and ancient monasteries. Djibouti, land of the Issa, Afar and the port of Zayla. Djibouti, small but ancient, was once part of a vibrant trading world. Its key identities included the Afar Sultanate, the Issa Somali territories, the port of Zayla, under various Somali kingdoms. The land served as a gateway between Africa and Arabia, long before colonial borders arrived. Caravans crossed the deserts bearing gold, ivory, and incense. Fishermen sailed its coasts under the rising moon. Poets recited verses about the sea. Djibouti's ancient names were tied not to borders, but to peoples, clans, ports, and trade routes. South Sudan, the nations of the Nilotic peoples. Before South Sudan became the world's newest country, its land belonged to ancient river nations. There were no unified states. Instead, the land was held by the Dinka, the Nua, the Shilluk Kingdom, the Bara-speaking peoples, the Lotuko, Mul, Azande, and dozens more. The Shilluk Kingdom in particular stood like a gem on the White Nile, ruled by divine kings known as Reth, believed to descend from the sky. These were not countries. These were worlds. The Sahel, that mystical belt between desert and forest, has seen kingdoms rise and fall like waves upon the shore. Here, modern borders are the newest part of the story. Mauritania, the land of Sanhadja, Tekru and the Lamtuna, before the world called it Mauritania. This land was home to Berber and African dynasties. Names included Sanhadja Confederation, Tekru Kingdom, Lamtuna tribes, ancient Moorish emirates. This was a land of scholars and warriors, where desert tribes ruled with both the sword and the pen. Here, camel caravans carried salt, gold, and ancient knowledge. The sands whisper their names still. Niger, House Estates, Songhai, Dendi, Zama kingdoms. Before colonization forced a single identity, modern Niger was a crossroads of nations. This land once held the Hausa city-states, Zinda, Dora, Katsina, Songhai Empire territories, the Dendi Kingdom, Zama and Fulani Emirates, Tuareg confederations in the north. These kingdoms spoke through trade, war, migration, and prophecy. Their influence stretched across the Sahel like wildfire in the Harmattan. Chad, the Sahel civilization and the kingdom of Bagirmi. Before modern Chad was drawn with a ruler on a map, its land carried ancient worlds. These included Sahel civilization, some of Central Africa's earliest city builders. Kanem Empire, one of Africa's oldest lasting states. Bornu Empire, Bagirmi Kingdom, Wadai Empire. The Kanem-Bornu Empire was powerful enough to challenge the sultans of Libya and Egypt. The names of modern Chad are echoes. The real identities lie deep beneath time. Morocco, El Maghrib, Mauritania, Amazi land. Before Morocco became a kingdom as the world knows it, its identity had many layers. It included El Maghrib, the West, Amazi land, Berber homeland, Mauritania Tingitana in Roman times, Idrisid and Marinid sultanates, the Almoravid Empire, the Almohad Empire. These empires ruled from Senegal to Spain. To speak Morocco's ancient names is to speak of a land that shaped world history. Tunisia, Carthage, Ifriqiya, Numidia. Long before Tunisia, there was Carthage, home of Hannibal, feared by Rome. Ifriqiya, a medieval North African province. Numidian kingdoms, ruled by fierce desert horsemen. Carthage alone was so powerful that Rome destroyed it entirely, fearing what it might become. Tunisia carries the ghosts of those empires. Algeria, Numidia, Mauritania Caesariensis, the Amazi states. Before colonization, Algeria was known through its tribal and kingdom identities. Numidia, ruled by King Massinissa. Mauritania Caesariensis. Zayanid dynasty. Amazi confederacies. Mountain fortresses, desert kingdoms, and coastal cities once filled this land. Algeria's ancient names are carved in stone and fire. We continue into the heartlands of East Africa, where kingdoms rose on the shores of ancient lakes. Burundi, Kingdom of Burundi, Uburundi. Before colonization, Burundi was already a kingdom, one of the oldest in East Africa. It was known simply as Uburundi, ruled by kings called Mwami. The Mwami was not merely a king. He was a shepherd of the land, a guardian of cows, a mediator between the people and the spirit world. Rwanda, the Kingdom of Rwanda. Rwanda, too, had one of the strongest monarchies in East Africa. It was historically the Kingdom of Rwanda. The Mwami of Rwanda held divine authority. His drum, Kalinga, was feared across the Great Lakes. Rwanda's ancient name is still its true name. Tanzania, Nyamwezi, Hihi, Zanzibar Sultanate. Before Tanzania existed as a union, the land held many civilizations. The Nyamwezi Kingdom, the Hihi Kingdom, the Chaga states near Kilimanjaro, the Swahili coast city-states, The Sultanate of Zanzibar. Sultans ruled the sea. Warrior kings ruled the highlands. Traders ruled the coast. Tanzania inherited these ancient worlds. Kenya, Giriama, Maasai, Kikuyu, Luo lands. Long before Kenya became a modern state, it was a tapestry of clans and kingdoms. Luo principalities near Lake Victoria. Kikuyu lands of farmers and spiritual elders. Maasai territories stretching into Tanzania. Giriama and Mijikenda confederacies. Swahili city-states along the coast. These were lands of storytellers, warriors, merchants, and prophets. Modern Kenya contains multitudes. Uganda, Buganda, Bunyoro-Kitara, Toro, Ankole. Before colonization, Uganda was composed entirely of kingdoms. These included Buganda Kingdom, Bunyoro-Kitara Empire, Toro Kingdom, Ankole Kingdom. Buganda alone was so powerful that British colonizers negotiated with it rather than conquer it by force. Uganda's ancient names are written in its monarchies. Ethiopia, Abyssinia, Axum, the Solomonic Empire. Though we mentioned Ethiopia earlier, its identity is too deep to summarize briefly. Ancient Ethiopia was Abyssinia, the Solomonid Empire, the Aksumite Kingdom, the land of Sheba in legend. No foreign power ever colonized Ethiopia. Its ancient identity lives on. Republic of the Congo, Congo, Teak, Longo. Before colonization, the region was home to the Kingdom of Congo, the Teak Kingdom, the Kingdom of Longo. These river kingdoms traded ivory, copper, salt, and wisdom. Their spiritual traditions shaped Central Africa. Gabon, Fang, Maine, Kota states. Gabon's land was not one state. It held many peoples. Fang clans, Kota principalities, Maine villages, Mpongwe coastal communities. Their masks, rituals, and forest traditions carry their ancient identity. Equatorial Guinea, Bubi Kingdom, Ndawe and Fang territories. Before colonization, the Bubi Kingdom ruled Bioko Island. The Ndau coastal communities thrived on trade. Fang territory stretched across Central Africa. Each had its own governance, spirituality, and social order. Rwanda and Burundi, revisited. These two ancient monarchies have already been covered, but their cultural weight in Central Africa is enormous. South Africa, Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, San. Before colonization created South Africa, its lands belonged to the Zulu kingdom under Shaka, the Xhosa chiefdoms, the Sotho and Tswana kingdoms, the San and Khoikhoi nations, the world's oldest surviving cultures. Some historians say the San people are over 100,000 years old. Their identity predates almost all human civilization. Lesotho, Basotho Kingdom. Before colonization, Lesotho was already the Basotho Kingdom, founded by King Moshoeshoe I. Moshoeshoe united clans through diplomacy and built a kingdom atop mountain fortresses. Eswatini, Swaziland, the Kingdom of Eswatini. Eswatini's name itself is ancient. It has always been the Kingdom of Eswatini, ruled by kings called Ngwenyama, lion, and queens called Ndovukati, she-elephant. Botswana, Bangwato, Bakwena, Batswana chiefdoms. Long before Botswana, Batswana chiefdoms covered the land. Bangwato kingdom stood strong. Bakwena ruled parts of the region. These were pastoral nations, guided by cattle, clan ties, and spiritual symbols. Namibia, Hera, Ovahimba, San and Nama territories. Before colonization, Namibia was defined by Hera kingdoms, Nama chiefdoms, San territories, Ovambo states in the north. These lands were shaped by migration, cattle culture, and ancient desert ways. Mozambique, Mwenamutapa, Rosvi, Gaza Empire. Long before it was Mozambique, the Mwenamutapa kingdom reigned. The Rosvi Empire rose in the highlands. The Gaza Empire expanded in the south. The coast belonged to Swahili sultanates. Mozambique's identity is tied to kings, warriors, traders, and desert seas. Zambia, Luba, Lunda, Bemba, Lozi. Before Zambia, the Lubalunda empires extended across modern borders. The kingdom of Barotsland thrived in the west. Bemba states grew in the north. These were ironworking, spirit-guided nations, whose influence stretched through Central and Southern Africa. Zimbabwe, Great Zimbabwe, Mutapa, Rosvi. Zimbabwe's ancient names are legendary. Great Zimbabwe, the Stone City. Mutapa Empire. Rosvi Empire. Its stone monuments still stand, unmoved by time, testifying to a powerful African civilization. Malawi, Maravi Kingdom. Before Malawi, this land was the Maravi Kingdom, home of the Chua people. The name Malawi itself comes from Maravi, meaning flames, symbolic of the dazzling sunrise on Lake Malawi. Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya, Swahili coast. These coastal regions were deeply connected, forming the Swahili civilization, one of the greatest trading networks in medieval history. Even Africa's islands carry old names, woven from the sea, the wind, and ancestral spirits. Madagascar, the Marina, Betsimisaraka, Sakalava kingdoms. Before Madagascar existed as one nation, Marina Kingdom, Sakalava Kingdom, Betsimisaraka Confederation. Its people originated from both Africa and Southeast Asia, creating one of the world's most unique cultures. Comoros, the Swahili and Shirazi sultanates. Before colonization, Comoros Islands were ruled by various sultans, influenced heavily by Swahili and Persian traders. Seychelles, deserted islands used by sailors. Seychelles had no indigenous kingdom. It was used by African sailors, Arab traders, Malagasy navigators, as stopover islands. Its identity was shaped by the sea. Mauritius, Mascarenes and Maroon communities. Before colonization, known as part of the Mascarene Islands, populated temporarily by Maroon communities, escaped enslaved people. Its pre-colonial story remains lightly touched but deeply symbolic. Cape Verde, the Ilha Vazia, the empty islands. Before colonization, the islands were uninhabited, used occasionally by African sailors. Later, it became a melting pot of African and Portuguese cultures. Now you have seen it. The true names of Africa before colonization. Names shaped by rivers, mountains, ancestors, kingdoms, empires, clans, spirit and soil. Names rooted in time so old that even history struggles to remember them. Africa's modern borders are only pages. Its ancient names are the book. And the book is not yet closed. Let this truth echo in your mind. Africa is not young. Africa is not new. Africa did not begin with colonization. Africa is ancient. Africa is eternal. Africa named itself long before anyone else tried to name it. To know these names is to reclaim identity. To speak these names is to awaken pride. To honor these names is to honor the ancestors. The journey does not end with the video. It ends when Africa's children remember who they are. If this journey touched your spirit, if it opened your mind, if it awakened your pride, then speak, comment. I honor Africa's true names. Like the video, share the story, and subscribe, so the flame of African history continues to burn across the world. The ancestors are watching, the ancestors are listening, and the story of Africa has only just begun.